Welcome to another episode of the JFC. Guys, it's Jackson Bryan here, and you see this man to my right, Ethan Pinnock. You already know what kind of video we're going to go into. Last one was the right back. This one is who should be at centre back. Now, Pinnock, really good player, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Um, but are we utilising him or the other players to the best of their ability? Now, that's one argument, and is another argument, can they play for us, or are they good enough to push us forward, to propel us, to say, into a more advanced position, competing with the top three in CONCACAF, the USA, Mexico, and Canada. With anything like that, where, like with the right back video, Lembikis is probably a liability and we need change. I'm not saying we do need change at centre back. I'm saying if we do, who should start? Right, it's not an immediate action, for example, for the World Cup, but we are. By the time this video goes up, we should be in March, and yeah, we gotta prepare for that intercontinental game. So with Pinnock, we already know how good he is. His aerial ability. He's very good at tackling. He averages, if I'm not mistaken, before the injury, was averaging about 1.5 tackles per game, up 90 for Brentford. Um, he is one of the best passing centre backs in the Premier League. At one stage, he was topping both statistics in the league, and mind you, in a league that has Gabriel, Virgil van Dijk, and even Ruben Diaz. So we know the talent is there from Pinnock ever since he got the injury. We can all say he's taken a fall off, and at his age, it was going to be very difficult for him to get back. I think he's about 30, 31 now, or 32 actually. So Pinnock should be one of the first names to be considered as a starter for us in coming to March. Bad things about Pinnock, we go pros and cons here. He's picking up injuries, and that last one he just come off, yes, it's a big one. It was a big one, but before that he always had a little niggle here, niggle there. He missed maybe 1-2 games at most, and it was always leading up to something this detrimental. Now him coming back, and now he's not going to displace Vandenberg or Nathan Collins. It's going to be very difficult. So maybe that's another thing to look at. He's not playing, and as the criteria states, he has to be playing consistent minutes. Again, as with the previous video, are we gonna bend the rules for certain players and by the new rules that we set out? Another thing is his positional sense, which even though he makes tackles and is good in the air and all that, as the great Paolo Maldini once said, if I have to make a tackle, I've already made a mistake. And there's a lot of times where a striker's played in, and you'd look and you'd say, Pinnock's not tight enough. Pinnock is a bit far away, or he should be in this position. Even for us against Trinidad and Curacao, there were instances where I was in the stadium and I was watching, and I'm like, Pinnock is not in the right position, right? He should be here rather than being there to draw more pressure on us, and that's not helping. So there are the good, bad, and the ugly of every player, and I think Ethan Pinnock, he's one that really does need to overcome his, if he does want to stay as a starter. I'll be completely honest with you, we're gonna have to be a bit ruthless with these players. Respect to all of them who came before, the Mariappas, the Rudolph Austins, and the Joby Markanoffs, but they weren't put out quick enough. They weren't bad players, but they were in the squad for a tad too long. We have to know when to relegate these players out of the big time and have players who are playing, who deserve to play in their positions. Players like, for our next player, Richard King. Now, we don't have to talk much about Richard. For those who actually watch or listen biggest fan, and by a long way, he is his biggest fan. Look, for a centre back, he's a very good goal scorer. He has that threat, always going forward. By the time At the time of recording, actually, he scored 3 goals for St Mirren, one in the league, two in the cup. So you've seen that, and that's in his first season. His ball carrying, he's averaging. He has an average 80% dribble success rate as a centre back, and to put that into real perspective, no other centre back that I'm going to discuss right now has anything over 55% centre back that we have on our hands. And I think he's one that, look, King is for the future. King is up, I think, 24 years old. So King is ready. We've seen him in the Curacao game. If I'm not wrong, I said it on the show afterwards that we had Chiellini in the back line at that time, because King was cleaning up everything. He was winning every header, he was making every pass, he was carrying the ball forward every time, and that's just the type of player Richard King is. Now, in regards to the bad parts of Richard, I've seen this in 3 games, right? And in all 3 of the games, well, we won 2 and drew 1. But his one-on-one defending is not that great. Now, the games I saw were Trinidad and Tobago. For those who remember, we won 3-0 at the office, and he got put on his ass multiple times. Fortunately, VAR said offside multiple times, and the next game was, it was Trinidad. It was Trinidad again. This time away. And again, he was put on his ass, which, seems like Trinidad have the best players in the world when it comes to up front. Game I was talking was in the Scottish Premiership Cup, way before the final. But it doesn't really matter, but it's virtually the same thing. He's been turned left and right and can't keep up with the ball. Another thing is his discipline, because at the time of recording, even though he has played a lot of games for St Mirren, which is, if I'm not wrong, he's played about 18 games at the time of recording here. He's picked up 7 yellow cards. That's not great. I mean, as a starting centre back, that is not great. It doesn't look good. It's only a matter of time until he picks up a red card at this stage. So, yeah, Richard, he's got to be in consideration, let's be honest, right? He's probably the youngest. If I'm looking through the list here, he probably, I'm not following birthdays, so he's probably the youngest. So that may be a giveaway to who one of the other options are in regards to age. But we continue to move and into someone who, talk about age, he's been around for a long while. I'll give you guys a hint. He's got 70 caps for the country. It's Damian Lowe. Now, what does Damian really bring to this team? And look, I clown this man a lot. He's a walking yellow card. He's a walking red card in times. He steps on ankles. He's a proper 90s defender. But let's be real. Damian Lowe is a defender who defends. And regardless of what I say, I like a defender who defends. Now, obviously, 70 caps for the country. He brings that experience, that know-how of always being there for Jamaica, always performing, playing in the MLS, Saudi, Egypt. I think he's moved to Indonesia soon. Trying to remember where else. I still really hate his agents for messing up that move to Italy, because I'm telling you that those 2 seasons would have been brilliant for his development. That, and you see it in brackets as it runs. Hey, not really open field tackling is mainly to break up counters, being that sweeper type player. You know, it's a 50-50, and that's where the cons come in. Is discipline, walking yellow card. He gets a lot of them, and I mean a lot. I mean, imagine a centre back pairing of Pepe and Damian Lowe. You wouldn't have a centre back pairing by the time the game's over. So yeah, and his passing, look, that's the main thing I used to clown Damian Lowe about. His passing, he's not modern centre back. He never will be at this point, right? His age, he can't change and be, oh, let me just drop the shoulder, skip past two players, and ping it 40 yards to freaking Cephas on the left. He's not gonna learn to do that. No, you know, it's not gonna happen. So, is Lowe a strong candidate? I mean, in recent games, he has played Grenada, you know, Martinique. He is one that we should be watching out for when it comes to March and potentially even June, July. Because, look, I don't know if people have ever said it or heard it from friends or family or other people who speak about sport, but Andre Blake is one player that deserves to play in a World Cup for Jamaica because he's never turned his back and he's always here. Damian Lowe is a second, regardless of what people want to say. Those people have been cornerstones in all of what we've been building, regardless of how much managers we go through or how shit the football is or how bad we think the players are. These two have always been there, trying to pull us up. And at this point, we have to give them everything if they do make it, which I really do hope they will. My boy, where am I? Is this my fourth option? Yeah, so this one is a bit trickier for people who don't tune in a lot to the JPL. This is Stephen Young, 24-year-old centre back from Portmore United. Now, yeah, last one I did have a JPL player in Kyle Ming, which people could possibly say he's better at centre back, and I should have included him in this video. No, I've seen Stephen Young in 2 games, and in 2 games, that's enough for me. That's enough. Give him the contract. Send him to Tottenham. They need defenders. So, yeah. I mean, Tottenham. Oh shit. I mean, I hope they can do something against Arsenal. But who am I kidding? They probably won't. They probably roll over. But yeah, focus. Stephen Young. I've seen him in the JPL games that have been broadcasted on YouTube. Shout out to MG, Jam PL Fan, Jamaica Premier League, Dr. Phil Entertainment. I hope I'm not leaving out anybody, but shout out to all of those guys so I can see the games. But mate, I saw him the first time I saw Stephen Young because, you know, obviously, even though JPL is here, most times I work on Sundays, so I'm not really going to see the matches. And I saw him in a game against Grenada. Was it Grenada? Yeah, it was Grenada. And he was too calm, too composed. I thought I was looking at a dark-skinned Lisandro Martinez because he is small. Let's be real. That's one of his cons. He is small. He's only about 5'11", which, to be fair, in our country as an average man, he's very tall. But on a football pitch, he's gonna be caught up by bigger guys. Like if we do go through and he does start, he's gonna gain 6'2" or 6'3" Cedric Bakambu. Yeah, nah, nah, that's not happening. But mate, his ceiling is frightening, especially if he gets to play at a higher level. You know, players like Stephen Young can't progress, and I said this about Kyle Ming. When you're one of the best in a certain area and you're stuck there, there's no more competition. You start to lapse and you get worse and worse. But because the competition's so bad, you're still one of the best. So you don't know you're doing anything wrong. But people who've watched you from day one can tell. Steven's got hella potential. He's on the ball ability. Beautiful, mate. Him, King. I mean, apart. I think. Look, let me just put this out there. Damian Lowe's the only one here that doesn't have an acceptable amount of on the ball activity. Right? He's the only one. But Stephen Young, look, um, if it's even for depth purposes, he's got to be chosen for this team and to go forward as well. If somehow, some way, like on God's green earth or Allah, he can make his way to Europe, not saying top five countries, but even let's say he moves to ah, what's a good country right now? Portugal, or even Scotland. Let's say he goes the Richard King road. I'm telling you, within 2, 3 years, he's in one of the top five countries, top five leagues, and playing centre back at the highest level. And Stephen Young has that. I mean, obviously, his height and blah blah blah, but the way football's moving now, I don't see where height is a disadvantage anymore in there, because forwards are becoming smaller and are only caring about technical ability rather than putting crosses in. So he's the type of player that if he goes to Europe 2 years, in 2 years, in one of Europe's top five leagues, he'll be lauded as one of the best centre backs there. The way football will be played at that point. But Stephen Young, he's my fourth option as who should start or who should play for Jamaica as centre back. And yeah, normally four options, right? Going to the verdict. No, I'm not going to the verdict now. I'm going to the fifth option because let's be honest, centre back is six. We're gonna have to choose to six people. And the fifth one is someone that a lot of people don't really like, and he's playing in Qatar. Yep, it's Mason Holgate. Now, it's not our fault we're in a position where Holgate is still on the agenda. Personally, I do like the player. I don't care what anybody wants to say. He's very technical. He's quick. You're quicker than the average centre back. So recovery pace, that's a good thing. But we've seen it in the few games he has represented the country. He seems shaky. He does seem shaky. Plays a lot of sideways passes, but that was down to McLaren's football rather than the players. And he can cause a bit of headaches, right? No, Fry hates him. But for me, I think he's got to be considered at this point because for a player who's played, I think he's played over 300 games in his career now, or close to that by the time this video comes out. All that experience, and he played a lot of it in England as well, in the toughest league, quote unquote, in the world. And he did it for Everton. He did it for Sheffield United. He went to West Brom. He played in the Championship. Looked like a good defender. Unfortunately, got an injury, but that's the time when he eventually switched to Jamaican. Look, Mason Holgate deserves a second chance. He deserves to at least be in the squad. As his versatility, I was this close to picking him in the right back video rather than Latibode. Then I remembered the last time he did play right back for the country, and I decided not to. But Holgate's got to be will get a lot of people thinking. When you think, you don't think of this player. Now, obviously, I did leave out some people for the centre back, for the right back video. I did leave out some people that I'm guessing you're gonna think should start or should be in the squad, but for centre back, mate, just hear me out, alright? Just hear me out. Amari Bell, right? And this is what I mean when I speak about Amari Bell. Amari has been playing in a back three all season. All season. He's been playing centre back. Not once has he played at left back. For some reason, the Jamaicans believe that he is still a left back. Well, I hate to break it to you. He's 31, his legs are gone, but he still has everything else to be a centre back. Amari Bell puts us in a position where we either play a back three, or judging off the last team is 6'4" and the biggest centre back we have, about an inch taller than Damian Lowe. Bell's versatility is no joke in regards to he's playing centre back all season. I thought it would just be a one-off until Nathan Jones got some newer players, and that wasn't it. He's officially three back. He's playing left-sided centre back, and he plays it very, very well. Now, obviously, he plays for Charlton, who aren't the best team. At one point, they were pushing promotion, then they just completely obliterated, and that was around the point Bell picked up a knock. Now, obviously, what can Amari Bell not do? It's easier to name what he cannot do than what he can do, because his passing, you can't discount that. He's good in the tackle. He doesn't get booked a lot. His positioning is excellent. He's never played a lot of games. He's played at the highest level. He's capped a lot for the country. What can he not do? Ah, stay fit. Yeah. He's picked up about 3 injuries, including the one he's on now this season. If I'm not wrong, it's either 3 or 4. And that's a lot. That is a lot for someone at his age. Because it's only a matter of time until that recurring issue turns a permanent one. And we can't go in with Amari Bell, even though I'd say he's our best defender. Regardless, whoever you want to name, who you want to bring to the table, Amari Bell is our best defender. Left back, right back, centre back, doesn't matter. He's our best defender. You can't go in there with him as the best defender. He's constantly being injured, constantly missing game time, and at one point I thought call him up because of the injuries, and I remember McLaren did call him up still, and he took the plane flight here, and I think that aggravates you as well when you have those type of muscle injuries. And I was like, are we going to destroy him? And I hope we don't destroy him, because he care what you guys want to say. Personally, Amari Bell is and Matteo Darmian, those guys who fill in anywhere and do it for the love of the badge. Those are the players that I prefer. So as we go into this right now, you got Bell, you've got Damian Lowe, you've got Stephen Young, you've got Mason Holgate, you've got Richard King, and you've got Ethan Pinnock. Who do you think should be the centre-back pairing? Now, me, yeah, you guys are gonna laugh, but me personally, I would really, really like if Deshaun Bernard was not injured. I'd really appreciate it if he wasn't injured. They said he should be back the start of March, so by the time this video is out, he should be playing, hopefully. I really hope he is. But unfortunately, he's not. However, for me, look, we'll be real here. FF do, what would Speed and such men do? Because regardless of McLaren not being here, these guys worked with McLaren, they know the plans and everything, and no one's ever tried to change it. I fully expect the Reggae Boys to line up with King and Pinnock as the centre back pairing. However, I probably would feel more safe seeing a 3-back of Bell, King, and Lowe. One tough tackler, one calm head, and I youngster who can dribble the ball out from anywhere. Because I think that ability, especially since look, we talk about how versatile Amari is. If anything happens, we don't have to really make that type of sub where teams are playing with a three back, you take a defender off or anything. No, we just shift Amari over to left back and just continue playing. We just play a very attacking lineup and then we shift him to left back and that's it. So personally, I want the three to play as a centre back partnership. But guys, for those who did tune in, thanks for being here. If you did like this video at all, you guys are welcome to like it. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can comment, and if you really liked it, then well, you can subscribe if you want as well. I'm not the type to, you realize I don't even show my face much. I'm not the type to beg for the subscriptions. If you guys want to watch it, I remember we had a video well early on the channel. I got over 700 views. I did not, I really didn't mind the no subscribers as long as people watch it and like it. That's fine. Um, but yeah, if you really do like it, the right back video should be popping up somewhere on your screen. Since you can't see me, you don't know where I'm pointing, and you can give that one a watch if you haven't seen it. But it's been Jaxson Brian, and we'll see you guys next time.